Welcome back. Now, the National Medical Commission has released a revised forensic medicine curriculum for the undergraduate medical students, and it's sparking a big row. The terms sodomy and lesbianism have been included in the category of unnatural sexual offences. Beyond this, other topics such as the importance of hymen, the definition of virginity, and its legitimacy have been brought back into the curriculum, despite it being done away with in 2022. Now, the revised curriculum has also done away with the distinction between consensual sex between queer individuals, adultery, and offences such as incest and bestiality, which the National Medical Commission had introduced in 2022 to make the education more friendly to the LGBTQ+ community. It also does away with the 7-hour training about disability as part of the foundation course and doesn't include topics on disability in its module on medical ethics, which is a point that has been raised by disability rights activists. In the backdrop, disability rights activist Dr. Satinder Singh has called this significant letdown in terms of societal responsibility, and also raising that the NMC is in violation of the Transgender Persons Act, as transvestism, also known as cross-dressing, is deemed a sexual perversion. Significant move by the NMC, and we have an esteemed panel of guests this afternoon to discuss this further. I'm joined by Dr. Satinder Singh, who is Doctors with Disabilities Agent of Change and Director, Professor at the UCMS, Delhi. I'm also joined by Shaman Gupta, who is a co-founder, Misfyt Trans Youth Foundation, and Dr. Salil Malik, Head of Emergency Medicine, Felix Hospital in Noida. Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you so much for taking your time and joining us over here. I would first go across to my guest who is joining us from Noida itself. Dr. Salil Malik, you know, in 2018, the Section 377 was decriminalized. And the Supreme Court had also encouraged relationships, and they said that society as a whole has to be more accepting and inclusive of the people hailing from the LGBTQ community. While the government and the Supreme Court is trying to go all out to ask for the inclusion, the NMC then, in what capacity, goes ahead and terms sodomy and lesbianism as unnatural sex? Would this be seen as a transgression of sorts?
Not exactly. You see, there still lies a gray area in this aspect, because the whole LGBTQ plus is a spectrum of things that are there. And there it leaves a gray area in this aspect. Whenever the books and everything are edited, so they have to be very specific for the feeble mind, the minds that are getting trained. So to be clear in this aspect, what they want to be taught and what it has to be. So till the time this gray area is removed and the spectrum is narrowed down, so such things might be there. So the NMC is just following the government orders.
Dr. Malik, what exactly is this gray area that you are referring to? Because if this was a gray area, then in 2022, this wouldn't have been done away with.
So that was based on some specific cases that was there and some specific things. So if you see topics that have been included right now concerning the legitimacy of virginity, and thereafter the distinctions that were made for consensual sex between queers and adultery. So those things were separate from the law that was passed fully over there. And definitely there remains some point of gray area in this aspect to be understood, that the NMC has actually recognized, and based on the recommendation, they have put forward their curriculum that is there right now.
Okay, let me take that question across to Dr. Satinder Singh. Dr. Singh, you've also written a letter asking for the inclusion of, especially the disability module is concerned. How do you respond to what Dr. Malik was saying about the grey area which needs to be referred to when they are deciding upon these curriculums?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show, but I do not agree with Dr. Malik, because perhaps he is misinformed. There is no gray area as such. We have a Transgender Persons Protections Act, which is for transgender people and intersex people. If you look at the curriculum of the physiology, the terms which have been included is that disorders of sexual development. Now, intersex variations are not disorders. Recently, the JAMA has come up with inclusive language in all the medical journals. The draft is out in public. Similarly, when the Supreme Court, the Honorable Supreme Court of India, can come up with the SOGISC guidelines on gender inclusions, what is stopping the National Medical Commission of India? Are they above the Supreme Court of India? Supreme Court of India is also coming up with a disability inclusion guideline for the judges and the lawyers. And let me tell you that medical education is evolved from the traditional curriculum in which Dr. Malik has passed, and also I was part of that. But now we have a competency-based curriculum based on the global standards. And what is this competency-based curriculum? The Parliament of India has ratified UN Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities. Based on that, India passed a new disability legislation in 2016. Its section 39(2)(f) says include rights of persons with disabilities in the curriculum of universities, schools, and teachers and colleges. Similarly, section 47(1)(b) says that has to be a mandatory training on disability for doctors, nurses, and paramedicals. Now, let's move on to the most recent evidence-based guidelines by the World Health Organization, the Global Report on the Health Equity for Persons with Disabilities, as early as 2022.
Dr. Singh, do you think there is also a case of sensitization is where perhaps the NMC is less wanting, is because, as a patient, I'm not going to really be comfortable walking up to a doctor or somebody from the medical fraternity to go and give them, if I'm going through an issue, an ordeal of sorts, if I feel that the doctor is not equipped to handle it.
That's why it is important, because what we are saying is that not only, patients, apart from patients with disabilities, we also have doctors with disability as transgender people as medical educators. They are also in the clinics. So they are also as doctors and treating those patients. And that's why it is important that awareness and sensitization is needed. But it is also a mandate of the law. There are two legislations which NMC is not following. Moreover, I would like to counter Dr. Malik that in the post the abolishment from the Chennai as well as the Kerala High Court, the NMC made a committee, and the chairperson of that committee was Dr. Vijayendra Singh, who is the two-member part of the committee of UGMB, which released these guidelines. So it is actually, if you see, a contempt of court. We are not saying you introduce optional things. We are only saying you introduce what is mandated in the law of the land. Both the Disability Act as well as the Transgender Persons talks about specific things.
Fair enough, Dr. Singh. We get your point over there. Let me ask that question across to Shaman Gupta, who is joining me as a co-founder of the Misfyt Trans Youth Foundation. Mr. Kapoor, how do you see the discussion that has just panned out right now, where on one end, Dr. Malik feels that there is a need for these to be included as far as sodomy, lesbianism is concerned, even the fact that they're bringing back the definition of virginity. But the fact that individual spaces, the policy that is being guaranteed by the government, by the Supreme Court, do you feel that's being infringed upon?
Absolutely, Samia. So part of the community, I think the first thing I want to kind of convey is that the community is highly disappointed. It has been really insulting. It's derogatory, and not just that, it's unscientific, right? And as Dr. Satinder also pointed out, it's going against the law of the land. Kerala High Court, both the Madras High Court have already given directives to NMC. So it's not even a problem of sensitization, and there is no gray area in this aspect. It is the law of the land. The transgender identities are recognized. The LGBTQ identities may not have been yet recognized by the law or by an act, but Supreme Court, other high courts, time and again have kind of pointed out on their rights of the validity of any sexual diversity that exists, and you cannot call sodomy or lesbianism or transvestism in any kind of sexual offense or fetishes that has been mentioned. So I think the community is really hurt, and I completely agree with Dr. Satinder on all the acts that are being kind of violated here. NMC does need to take immediate action and revise its own curriculum.
Well, there you go, Dr. Malik. Shaman Gupta maintains that he would want the government to have a relook on this new curriculum that has been put forth. Will there be a rethink, given the fact that the members from the fraternity, as far as the LGBTQ is concerned, are not comfortable with the present curriculum put forth by the NMC?
Since I may not be able to speak for the NMC, however, I can share this aspect that any curriculum that is made with the help of a committee, taking care of all the laws that they are, making sure that whatever words that they want to include into the curriculum are apt as per the law per se, and they are giving the correct information and the general information to the larger public altogether, so that there is no offense to any kind of a community in this aspect. However, I can understand the sentiments that are going on right now. I feel as and when
how,
any
sir,
kind of
how is this not an offense to
is
any
definitely
community,
a rethink
especially
of it.
when you are including sodomy as an unnatural sex, when you're including lesbianism as an unnatural sex? How is this not offending any particular community?
So that is what I'm saying, that whenever there is some kind of a protest, it is definitely heard, and the right people for that do come out, and the committees are edited, and then if the need is felt that the change in curriculum is there, which abides to the legal aspect of the land, then it usually is. So that is something that we have to see in the future, how it goes about.
Okay, we will have to wait and see whether at all there are to be any changes that probably the government can bring about. But as of now, I would want to have the last remarks from Dr. Sathinder over here. You have written letters. You have pursued this particular case for a while. Is there a sense of dialogue that you feel is lacking in the process? Did the government, the NMC, the doctors reach out to the LGBTQ plus community or those who represent the disability fraternity for that matter? Has there been any dialogue process, Sathinder?
No, there has been no dialogue at all. The current NMC is, strongly not consulting anybody, because the committees which have been formed, there was zero representation of people from the queer community or the transgender community or from the disability community. Now, the most disappointing thing is that the erstwhile MCI, the previous one, they had included the disability competencies, but this current NMC have removed it. And we have given feedback, because I'm a professor in a medical college, and we have written multiple letters in April as well as in August to the UGMP of NMC, but they have not taken our feedback yet. But definitely the doors are open for us to go to the World Federation of Medical Education, who has given accreditation to the National Medical Commission, and if they are not changing the curriculum, we would ask the WFME to revoke or temporarily suspend the NMC registration.
Okay, we will have to wait and see as and when that happens. As of now, we can only hope that the NMC is going to relook at their present curriculum, as it has already been facing certain objections in areas of concern. But thank you, Dr. Sathinder Singh, Shaman Gupta and Dr. Salil Malik, for taking our time and joining us this afternoon here at Now.
Thank you.